Well, hello and welcome to episode 232 of Drink the Movies. I'm Brian here as always with Michaela. And Michaela, if there's one thing I know about you, it's that you love a good love story.
That's true. That's true. I am a romantic at heart. I'm kind of this cynical romantic person, which is weird. It's a weird combination because I love a good love story, but I also love to make fun of bad love stories. And this movie has kind of been both hailed as one of the best like love story films of all time, but also like made fun of a ton, even by Ryan O'Neal himself, right? Who's the starring actor in this film. So it's kind of interesting how it's both like lauded and ridiculed as this love story. But I'll tell you one thing that you cannot deny, and that is like the theme music to this movie. I never knew that this theme music was this from here. I've heard
You
everybody
never
has
knew
heard
that
this
the
song.
theme from Love Story came from Love Story?
No, no, I didn't know what it was called. I literally thought it was like because it's very there are references in the movie to like Sebastian Bach and Mozart and
Hmm.
things, and I thought it was something from that time period. I had no idea that someone was like, "All right, I got you guys. I'm gonna make this, and now it's gonna be on everything." And so now I feel real stupid because for 43 years of my life I thought this was like Bach, and it's just a love theme from a movie that is still heralded as like one of the best love themes of all time.
That's
Wonderful.
right. Yeah, now you can smugly look at others every time this comes on and be like, this is Francis Lay's theme to Love Story. So there you go. So we have that to look forward to. We also have a Snowman-hattan to look forward to, which is a pretty fun little riff on a little cocktail there. So let's do this, Michaela. Let's take a quick break. Let's grab some rye whiskey and we'll be right and some snow, I guess. Well, we're gonna have to find snow. It's summer in the south, so good luck to us there. We'll see what we can do, and we'll be right back to mix up this week's drink.
So Brian, I have a confession. I have never seen Love Story.
Okay,
Okay. And so
same.
I
What does
went
that
and
know?
looked. Same. Yeah. Both of us had never seen it. That's exciting. Okay. Well, that's cool. I don't know if we've ever done one that we both had never seen before. That's interesting. Okay. So I went through the trailer and all I saw was two people frolicking in love, really sad, happy, sad,
Mm-hmm.
happy,
Mm-hmm.
sad.
Mm-hmm.
But what remained constant, other than like 30 seconds on a boat in short sleeves, was there's a lot of snow in this movie. And so I was like, we need to make a drink that has snow in it. Now I know that we both are in Charlotte. I mean, and I'm in the heart of the South right now. Like it's crazy. We have no snow. It is August at the time of this recording, and so nowhere in North America, except for maybe Canada and Alaska, have snow. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make our own snow to add to. Dare I say, one of the best kind of screwdriver esque cocktails
Mm-hmm.
I've ever had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely the best snow-based cocktail that I've ever had. That is 100% for sure. It's kind of like a snow cone for adults. And
Yes.
actually, it did remind me of something. I'm going to circle back to that after we make it. So, Michaela, we were tasked with making snow, and actually, you were tasked with making snow more so than I was. So, if I was going to make it on my own, I would basically just get some crushed ice out of the refrigerator. If you are lucky enough to have like a crushed ice setting on your refrigerator, go ahead and get that. And then I would toss mine probably into a food processor and just let her rip. See what happens. And maybe you get snow that way. You at least get more crushed up ice, which I think is going to do in a pinch, in place of
Hmm.
real snow. But was I close? How'd you do yours?
So I do not have crushed ice in my new fridge. Um, I just had regular ice cubes. And so what I did was I have a Vitamix, which is amazing. It's so ridiculously expensive, but it can do anything, including make snow. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take 2 cups of ice cubes, and it says to use normal ice cubes, but you're probably right. Crushed ice would work just as well. But that's exactly what you do. You just turn it on. You turn it on for like 10 full seconds, and you just let it go. And you know what happens? You turn it off, and now you have a pitcher full of snow, and it looks like snow, and it tastes like snow, and it smells like snow. I don't know how. I mean, I don't know how this works, but this is the
Yeah.
most amazing thing ever. This is what I'm going to do to make like frozen margaritas from now on is I'm just going to
Mm,
make the snow
hmm.
first and add it to the drink later because that's how you put this cocktail together. Genius. I'm telling you, it's so great.
So great, so great. I don't know how good it is for the warranty on your blenders out there, but yeah, mix some snow up for sure. And then we're going to turn this snow into a Manhattan. So actually, it's pretty simple, right? You get your cup of snow there, do that.
Oh,
You got a cup of
yep.
snow there. Then to another cup, you can put it into like a mixing glass. I just totally did mine in like a measuring cup because you're not shaking
Mm,
this with ice because it's getting poured onto the snow. So take 2 ounces of your favorite bourbon or rye whiskey. I used rye for mine. I think you used rye for yours as well. So two
did.
ounces of that. 1 ounce of triple sec, 3 ounces of orange juice, and then 3 tablespoons of a ginger syrup. We've made ginger syrups plenty of times here on the podcast, but quick refresher for everyone: go ahead and make a simple syrup with which is equal parts sugar and water. Bring that up to a boil or to a high enough temperature where that sugar is going to melt, and then you can put in a couple of chunks or some slices of ginger into that. Let that sit as long as you would like. The longer you let it sit, the more spicy it's going to get. So go ahead and play around with that however you'd like, and then pull that out, cool it, bottle it, stick it in the refrigerator, and use it for drinks like this. 3 tablespoons of that. Mix that up, pour it into your snow. You can drink it if you want to get like a snowball to the face, or you can drink it through a straw. That's a delicious way to go to either or. But Michaela, what did you think about our snowy treat?
So it is official. I love a vacation cocktail. I don't know about you, but every time I go on vacation, I do a screwdriver, which is just vodka and orange juice. This beats that by like a billion times. And you add it to snow. It's so amazing. I loved this. I think you could definitely play with the bourbon slash ryes. In it, there's no need to do something really expensive or super high proof because you're going to be adding a lot of other flavors to it. But I will say the rye was kind of nice. It added this really interesting like bite to it.
Hmm.
If you don't have triple sec, you can always use something like Grand Marnier. But the idea is you really want it's an orange liqueur, right?
Hmm.
So you want kind of that syrupiness. The ginger was nice. There was a nice zing to it. Again, not all ginger syrups are created the same or with the same strength of ginger flavor. So if you really like a lot of gin or a lot of ginger, as it were, then this could be good for you if you like that. If you don't, then use less, or just steep it for a less amount of time, and so it's very light. Um, I
Hmm.
really enjoyed this. I thought this was great. I might have made it a couple of times since the
Yeah,
original inception of it, and I didn't use a Vitamix more warranty. People, no, absolutely not. Nope,
Absolutely
nope.
not. Yeah. Special shout to makeeverydayinevent.com, which is where this recipe came from. And in their ginger syrup, I think they had an addition of some vanilla, I believe, to that. I skipped that in mine. I just went for straight ginger here for this one. So this was really good. And circling back to what I said, this reminded me, Michaela, we were at Epcot a couple of years ago for the Art and Wine Festival, and we had a frozen martini from the stand there in the Paris, France region
Mm,
of Epcot, which was the same kind of a thing, right? Because it was kind of like an adult snow cone of deliciousness, except this one leans Manhattan. So definitely go ahead and give
mm.
this a try. You could certainly just make a Manhattan. That's where we're spending a lot of time here in the film, right there in Central Park, and building a little snowman, having a little snow fight with two of the most beautiful people from 1970. Absolutely. So let's do this, Michaela. Let's take a quick break, and we're going to be right back to chat about this week's film, Love Story.
Did I say you could kiss me?
I was carried away.
I wasn't.
Spoiler warning for Love Story. She dies. Okay. We know
Wow,
this like 30 seconds in. All right.
it's true. It's
Now,
true. We do.
really. And I feel like everybody knows it. There is like no spoiling this story, but we're gonna put a spoiler warning out there. Anyway, we're gonna talk about Love Story and she dies. So if you don't want to hear anything else about what makes this story amazing as a love story, then you should go watch the movie. And then come back, have a snowy Manhattan cocktail, and then we can chat about it. You have been
Uh,
warned.
Absolutely. You should absolutely watch it because the journey is the important part of that story anyway. But
That's
yeah,
true.
it definitely does open with its own spoiler warning, more or less, there. So this was released in 1970, so you've had roughly 55 years to watch it, which means that we could have watched it anytime in our entire lives, Michaela, but we just picked this last week to do so. This was directed by Arthur Hiller and it stars Ally McGraw as the musically inclined Radcliffe College student Jenny Cavallari and Ryan O'Neal as the preppy Harvard hockey player Oliver Barrett IV. His family even has a building, a Harvard name for it, or maybe multiple buildings. I don't know for sure. We'll talk about that. This was nominated for 7 Academy Awards. It wins Best Original Score for Francis Lai, most notably for creating that theme for Love Story, which is amazing. And even if you've not seen it in the 55 years it's existed, you have 100% for sure heard that song on something, a commercial, another movie, something, you've heard it. It also got nominations for Best Original Screenplay for Eric Segal, who actually then wrote the novel to accompany this, released, kind of coinciding there. Supporting actor for John Marley. We'll talk about him here in a bit. Best actress and actor for the aforementioned Ally McGraw and Ryan O'Neal. And best director for Arthur Hiller. It was also nominated for Best Picture of them all that year. It did not win. Patton, I believe, won in 1970. So, Michaela, we had never seen this. You picked it and put it on the schedule, I believe, because it was his 55th anniversary, which is pretty old. Happy birthday, there to Love Story. Actually, it'll turn 55 in December. But did you know of this story? Was it something that you'd wanted to watch before and never had? Was it something that you weren't interested in all beyond it ticked the box of being 55 years old? What's the deal? What's the story with Love Story, Michaela?
What's the story with Michaela's reasoning behind this? No, it was 55 years this year, and I thought that that was really special. But also, I had never seen this, and one of the things that I think is really cool about this podcast and movie people who claim to be real movie lovers is sometimes movies just slip through the cracks for them. And I had been told that this was, a heralded love story film, right? And that again, it's been lauded and made fun of and at the same time for years now. And I had just never seen it. And I thought, well, it's a good idea to educate myself. I was not expecting to enjoy it the way the way that I did. I don't know why, because again, it's been lauded as one of the greatest stories, and I mean, it was nominated for 7 Academy Awards, but somehow it had just slipped through the cracks for me. But I feel like the 55th birthday of the showcasing of this and the story of these two kind of star-crossed lovers that somehow figure it out is kind of neat. So it just seemed like the right time. And
Yeah.
it's all about school, like not all about it, but like they're in law school. That's where they meet. This seems like a very great film to watch at the beginning of the fall when the school's year starts for kids and youth and college. And I don't know, it just seemed like the right time.
That's true. That's true. Well, they weren't really in law school, right? You have Oliver there.
Mm.
He's studying social studies at Harvard, also playing hockey, and then you have Jenny there, who is studying music. I guess I'm not sure exactly what kind of music she was studying, but she was studying some sort of music with ambitions to go on to be a music teacher. And then Oliver is going to go on to law school later in the film, but they do meet kind of that first fall. So after a very I don't know. It's like buckle up, kids, because here's Oliver Barrett the Fourth sitting alongside of the ice rink at Central Park. It's snowy. It looks gorgeous, and it's just him talking about, oh, that's sad. The that Jenny Cavallari, my true love, died so young. That's pretty sad, right? It's like totally, getting the lead right out there, and it goes back, right? You mentioned they meet here kind of in the fall. I really love it. He goes into the library, which is where Jenny is working, and he's trying to take out a book, and she pegs him immediately, right? Is this rich preppy kid from Harvard? I love all of their exchanges. It's amazing. But I like right off the bat, she's like, you go to Harvard. They have like 3 million books there. We have like 100 books. Why are you coming to steal one of ours? What is wrong with you? And from the very first words out of her mouth, you are instantly interested in Jenny and Oliver.
You sure are. Um, I loved the script of this film because people don't talk like this. I couldn't figure out what it was that that hooked me so much about the dialogue, and maybe you can help me figure this out, Brian, because I've seen a lot of romantic movies. You know this. Like you said,
Hmm.
Michaela loves a love story, but their interactions and their exchanges are both like quick, they're quick-witted, they're like dives at each other, but at the same time, it's obvious that they're flirting. And yet, I have never heard two people talk to each other this way. It was so special. And I don't know, because again, she gives him a nickname. She calls him Preppy. He seems to be offended. Then she's offended that he's offended, um, and yet he's just very much entranced by her. And she has absolutely no compunction about diving into this relationship. She's like, "Oh yeah, you're in love with me. That's not my problem." Like she's just so in it. They're like immediately um attracted to each other in a way that just doesn't even make sense. It's like it's gravity. Like
Hmm.
it was always meant to be, and it's so strange to me because again, I just don't you don't see this. I have not seen this in filmmaking before. I've not seen this in like my life before. I want to find a Jenny and Oliver and, and
Yeah.
and just watch them talk for 40 years.
Yeah, you mentioned like this gravitational pull. I was thinking of it in terms of like this magnetism where they're just
Mm,
like
hmm
irresistibly drawn together. And yeah, they do have this crazy banter. I guess to put it into like a more like modern storytelling kind of a thing, the dialogue, the way that it's written and the way that they talk and talk to each other, it reminded me a lot of the Gilmore Girls and Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, so Amy Sherman Palladino. So I think that that was probably what like drew me to it because I love the storytelling and both of those things, and I found this to be pretty similar and not similar at all because it predates both of those things by 40 years or so. So I like that from that end a lot, and the banter is great, and it really continues through the whole movie, right? Like yeah, like I mean it gets to like the sappy parts and they get to like where they're having their snowball fight and rolling around kissing and stuff like that, but like the banter like never lets up throughout the whole film, right? She's always giving him shtick the whole time. He's always throwing it right back at her whenever. And I love kind of their first like I think it's after their first date, or he invites her to go watch him play hockey. So it's after one of the first couple of interactions they have. I think it's the first one, and they're walking home, and she says something about the night, and he's like, yeah, it was pretty good. He's like, maybe I'll call you again in a couple of weeks. Or maybe I'll call you tomorrow. I don't know. And she gets all flustered by it, and he's like, "See, you can dish it out, but you can't take it." And that kind of sets the tone for their whole relationship going forward, and it's real great.
It's real great. It's real great. I love how different they are too. So he is this preppy rich kid. His parents have buildings named after them at Harvard. His dad, we see his dad after a hockey game in which he loses, kind of walk him to the car. And his dad wants to take him to dinner. He doesn't really want to go to dinner. He doesn't really connect with his father at all. His dad is riling him about which law school he's going to go to. And Oliver doesn't even know if he wants to do law. But all of that, it doesn't really matter because his dad's just gonna kind of bully him into doing whatever he thinks he needs to do. And Jenny sees right through all of that. She's like, look, you are you sure you like, I think a big part of why you like me is that I'm not any of those things and I'm so different and I'm poor and I'm kind of this artsy schoolgirl. And I love this kind of exchange between the two of them because, she is willing to admit that she really loves the fact that he's so different. And that's a piece of him. And because it's a piece of him, that's something that is him that she loves. Their first real fight that we see about them because she's like, "Hey, I'm going to go to Paris," and he's like, "What do you mean?" And she's like, "Oh, this wasn't that big of a deal, right? I mean, it didn't mean much to you." And he's like, "Absolutely not. What are you doing?" And they both kind of look at each other and laugh because they both know they can't not be together.
Hmm.
I just again I don't know how people actually if anybody actually fights that way because it was almost like a pretend fight. Like they were upset but not upset enough um for it to really matter because there was no way that Jenny and Oliver weren't going to be Jenny and Oliver even if she went to Paris. He they weren't going to not figure that out together. But he's like absolutely not. You're not doing that. We're going to be together. We're getting married. And
That
she's like, "What?" Okay. Cool.
Okay, yeah, just get in my very fancy car. We're gonna drive up to the largest house that you've ever seen, and I love that kind of the approach up to the house, right? And meeting the parents. She goes on to meet Oliver's parents, and then Oliver's going to go and meet Jenny's father in the film, basically to, I guess, to kind of get his blessing, more or less. We'll come back and talk about the kind of the family dynamics of these two here as we go. But yeah, they end up getting married. They end up kind of on this struggle bus sort of a thing, right? Oliver has basically disavowed his whole family there,
Mm,
which isn't great. Jenny doesn't seem to really like fully grasp that, which I think is kind of the interesting part of this story. Which again, we'll talk a little bit more about the family dynamics here. So I guess let's just go ahead and get into that, and then we'll carry on with the movie. So we're introduced first to Oliver's father. As you mentioned, he was at this hockey game that Oliver was
mm,
playing in. There's an amazing shot. It's very like Hitchcock-esque of Oliver.
mm.
He gets put into the penalty box, and you've seen his father a couple of times. You don't really know who it is, and then you see kind of from the point of view of Oliver, and it like shoots like all the way across the ice until you like lock eyes with this guy, and then it turns out to be his father. And I really thought that was a really interesting kind of introduction to him. As you mentioned, he was there. He drove all the way down to Ithaca to watch the play hockey right against Cornell.
Mm.
He driven all that way. He wants to take him to dinner. He wants to give him a ride. It doesn't seem really like he's pushing him like that hard. He makes kind of a comment about law school, as you do, right? It's which is par for the course, right? Your family has buildings named after them at Harvard, right? There are going to be some sort of expectations there, but he didn't seem to be like overbearing to
Mm.
Oliver really in
Mm.
that sense. So I thought that like their relationship was really interesting because a lot of times they would play that, you know, in the story that would be played up a lot, right? Like all of this
Mm.
pressure on Oliver, making him do things he doesn't want to do. But Oliver seems like okay with that life. There's just something about I don't know, just like the legacy of his family is there, and
Mm.
it's so nuanced and interesting. Like I thought it was just fascinating, like Oliver's
Yeah.
dynamic with his parents.
Yeah, and they have lunch after he goes to kind of show off Jenny and tell them. And again, something is not right. Like he gets there, they meet Jenny, his mom's there. It's the only time we even see his mom, even though they talk about her a lot in every exchange. Um, they the parents think that he's staying for dinner. He's absolutely not. He's there for literally 3 minutes and he can't wait to leave. And I don't know why. We never figure out why. But it isn't until later when he's having a private lunch with his dad at this club restaurant where his dad's like, "Yeah, she seems really nice. But you're not going to marry her today. I mean, you should wait until you finish school at least. And if it's real, then it's real." And Oliver's not about that at all. He's like, "I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and we'll just never speak again." And you're right. Jenny is just incredulous to this. She's like, "No, no, no. You're going to talk again." Um, and even when his family continues to kind of tries to smooth things over, tries to reach out, tries to have a relationship, Oliver basically puts it up to Jenny to be the bad guy to tell them no and things like that. And it's very strange dynamic. And we don't see enough of it for it to really make any sense. And maybe that's the point, is that some of these things just aren't explainable. They're not meant to be wrapped up and put a bow on, that we see in a lot of later films about family relations and love stories. I don't know.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And because, over the course of the movie, Jenny has, tried to, not to like mend fences, but, kind of, push Oliver into, having some sort of reconciliation with his father kind of throughout the film, and that plays all the way up through to the end. And it would have been easy to turn that into the story trope, right? Like, oh, Jenny gets Oliver and family back together and all is well that ends well, and that doesn't ever happen. And I think that's really interesting. On the flip side of that, we have Jenny's father, who were introduced there after they've decided to get married, right? He has to go and basically get his blessing, which is really kind of fun interaction here. Phil Cavallari, the father, is played by John Marley, who is nominated there for the Best Supporting Actor Oscar for the year. Is amazing. Like he's fun. He's so I don't know, like he's so like accommodating to Jenny,
Mm,
and I feel like that's probably just been, Jenny's kind of personality and things. We don't really learn much about her mother there throughout the story, but it seems like Jenny has always been, kind of quirky and kind of marched to the beat of her own drum, and Dad has just kind of come to accept the fact that there's going to be no reining her in. So when they have this kind of more non-traditional wedding, kind of against his wishes, that's fine. And I do like really a lot the way that John Marley plays this character of Phil Cavallari because especially in this first interaction when they're talking about the wedding, right? He's like, "Oh, you're not gonna have a Catholic mass, right? You're gonna do do it yourself wedding." That's interesting. He plays it like such a fine line where you can't tell like if he's like really accepting it or really accepting it because he knows that the Barretts are like incredibly wealthy and he knows that that is going to be pretty good for his daughter going forward. I don't know, but he plays it like so like straight laced down the middle, and you can't
mm.
really get a good read on exactly what his feelings are about it until a little later in the film, I think.
Yeah, I think the gem of this whole movie is this father-in-law, Phil, that she calls by his first name. It's so funny. I love when we
What's
first
your
are
dad's name?
introduced, and he's like, I don't know. I mean, he does know. He calls him something that we're not going to say here, but I really I don't know. It reminds me of my first love's kind of dad, where he's very like he's just kind of again, you can't tell because he's so straight-faced about it. So you can't tell if he's like really okay with this do-it-yourself wedding because and they kind of peel back the onion on him, right? Where they're like, well, it's not going to be Catholic. It's not even going to be with a priest. We're going to say our own vows. We're actually not we're kind of negative on the whole God thing in general. We're just not going to do that at all. We're gonna we're gonna meet in like a lawyer's office and we're gonna get it done. But he's there, and when he's there, he seems pretty happy about it. He doesn't quite understand it all, um, and but he doesn't have any real qualms about this situation at all, which is nice because I think it would have been a much harder story to watch if they didn't have some idea of support from their families
Hmm.
because they are so young. Um, I love he makes some sort of quirk about being poor and now they're all poor together because he Oliver kind of bucks up and doesn't want to have anything to do with his family, and so they're the two couples or the two young loves are trying to make ends meet with like $300 a month, which was not a lot of the money even in 1970, not a lot of money, and they're like have this little apartment and they have like three bags and but the dad's like, hey man, this is the way the rest of the world lives. It was
That's right.
pretty, I don't know, I liked it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that they're starting their life together, right? And she's very insistent upon being carried across the threshold to begin their new life. And of course, he goes through the front door, and she correctly tells him that that's not the actual threshold, so he has to carry her up the stairs. They have some more banter there, but yeah, they go about living their life together, right? So Jenny's going to go and teach music at like the heist
Mm,
at the school, right? It's like a
mm.
private school kind of a thing. And then that's where like the name part comes back to bite you, and like that's not really something that you think about, I guess, if you're trying to strike it out on your own because she goes and asks her bosses for a raise and they're like, "Nah, you're like a Barrett now and they're loaded, so we can pay you like minimum wage because it doesn't even matter, right? You should be doing this for free basically." And then you have Oliver there who's going to law school now and he's going to the dean to ask for scholarship, and he's like, "Yeah, no, because your parents again loaded. Maybe I'll give you a scholarship later. I don't know." So they're beginning their life, very much, kind of down at the bottom. Have to start out on the bottom rung and get themselves out. Biggest plot holes of the movie right here is he still has that real fancy car, and he also apparently has a boat. Sell those things, Oliver. Come on, man. You pay bills, bro. Come on, what are you doing?
Right, right. Well,
The
and
boat
it's
doesn't
always
even work,
winter.
and
The boat doesn't
it's
even
always
work.
winter.
And it's always winter. That was the thing I think for me is that we see one, like I said, it's 30 seconds of them. She's in short sleeves. He's working on a boat. She's talking about how she got a $500 raise for the year. And they're actually really excited about that because she was only making $3,000 a year. So that's huge in terms of like an increase. But yeah, it just always seemed like it was fall or winter during this film, and I thought that that was kind of interesting. And I don't know if and we see the years kind of pass on because Oliver does end up graduating from law school. He graduates third in his class, so he gets a big grandiose job. They say goodbye to their little apartment and they're like, well, it wasn't bad for 80 bucks a month. 80 bucks a month, Brian.
You know, pretty good. Pretty
Pretty
good. That
good.
was
Pretty good.
that was pretty good. That was pretty good. I like and then she does tell him like she even asks why he needs his car, right, to go into the city. And he's like, well, that's, rich people have cars and have to, at least present as rich until we actually are. So I like that. And they go about their lives, right? And that's when trouble really strikes. Right. He finishes law school.
Yeah.
So it's about time to, start thinking about your future family planning. And that doesn't seem to be going that well. So one day in at the doctor's office, they go and get checked out. And it's turns out that Jenny is having trouble getting pregnant because she has some sort of life-ending illness that they don't describe, which apparently is like a whole thing. There's like a whole section about like how her illness is so terribly done. I was like, that's not even like the point of the movie. So I don't even like really like understand why people get so up in arms about that. But yeah, she has some mystery illness and she never really looks sick and all that stuff. But it really kind of shines a light on like the real like love between these two, I thought. Because yeah, they
Mm.
are bantery and they're fun and their chemistry is like freaking off the charts and they're very attractive and they look great together, all of that stuff. But then like when he finds this out and like how gutted he is, and like the first question he asks is if it's going to be painful for her, right? Like he like totally is only concerned about her like in that moment, which I thought was amazing. And then he tries to protect her, by not telling her and trying to kind of do all of these like life experiences with her. But it's tough, right? Because that's not really what she wants, right? She's always talked about how she doesn't want to be bullshitted to. Basically, has kind of been her like motto
Yep.
throughout the whole film, right? And he does that, and uh, you know, to to her grace, she understands why he did it. So.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think to me, the weirdest part of this whole movie was he finds out because the doctor tells him about her medical condition and then is like, we shouldn't tell her. It's like, what? Okay, there's about 7,000 HIPAA violations there, but that's okay. I guess this was before that, when husbands could have that kind of power. And to their credit, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna let's take her to Paris. And so he tries to like pretend everything is normal, and she knows something's up. So she ends up confronting her doctor, finding out the truth. But she just wants to be with him, and I think here is really the piece of when you hear of a love story or you look at a love story and it's all fun and games when you're falling in love and you're telling your parents to screw off because you're just so in love and they don't understand and they don't need their money and all of that. But it's when things get really real and someone is very literally dying in front of you, what are you willing to do? And the fact that, I mean, in the very next scene we see Oliver is at his dad's house asking for money
Mhm.
um, to help pay for, treatments for his wife, just to extend her life or give her the best quality of life that she can have. I think that that is really telling because you don't really know what where your limitations are in a relationship until things something tragic happens. I feel like a lot of relationships are tested in this way, whether it's losing a family member or e- e- overcoming the adversity of some sort of illness within the relationship itself, infidelity, things like that. But when something happens like that, it really shakes the root of a relationship. But we never see them waver. She continues to say, "Hey, I was glad that I didn't go to Paris. I was glad that I didn't do these things. All I wanted was you, and I'm really happy with that choice." And he immediately will swallow any amount of pride. His father kind of assumes that he's gotten some girl in trouble and
Mhm.
needs money to like hide this, affair or something. And he lets his father think whatever he wants. He doesn't care. He just wants the money. And I really love that they both kind of are so steadfastly together that they're not willing to let anything kind of intrude on the last days of their lives, that they
Mhm.
are, physically together.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very sad. It's very moving. There's a beautiful scene where she's sitting on Oliver's lap, kind of right before the end, and she's making a promise that he'll go on and he'll be happy. even after she's gone. That's
Mm.
that's amazing. And then you get your kind of final scene there at the hospital of those two together. But for me, the two interactions here, obviously the Jenny and Oliver one is it's very tough. It's very moving. She keeps the banter going all the way to the end. But you really have two kind of interactions there between Oliver and his father-in-law. Phil, there at the end, with that one just rips your heart right out, and he goes out there and poor Phil's like, I wish I wouldn't have promised her that I'd be brave for you right now, right? Because he's, on the edge of having a breakdown, as is Oliver, right? Just losing his daughter and his one true love, his wife there. And then he has the interaction with his father there, does Oliver, coming out, right? Coming out of the hospital. And this was like the most fascinating like aspect of the whole movie because his father gets there and he says he's like you didn't tell me that this was what the money was for. He's like I made a call and I found out what was happening and I came down here immediately and um Oliver basically doesn't have anything to say for him, or he says that Jenny has passed away, and of course his father says that, oh, he's sorry to hear that, and then Oliver repeats that line from earlier in the film that Jenny had said, right? You don't ever what is it? I'm totally gonna
Love
butcher
means
it
never
now.
having to say
Love
you're sorry.
love means never having to say you're sorry. He says that to his father, and I'm like that can mean like so many things. Is that Oliver saying that about himself, like that he should means that he's sorry, right? That he loves you, so he never he you're not going to say it now. Is he saying it like to his father that his father had something that he needed to apologize for? I'm like, that is so nuanced, and you could read into it so many ways because, like I said, like his dynamic with his father was so interesting because his father didn't seem to be like anything like crazy overbearing to me, and
Mm.
like even to the end, Oliver keeps a standoffish bit. So I really thought that kind of final line there from him was all the more interesting because they never like tied that bow up for you, right? Like those strings just kept dangling through the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. This line is a strange one at the end of this because they get into a fight, at the beginning of the film, and he says he's sorry, and she lays this out. And then I guess his father's trying to apologize, and he says this, and yeah, you don't really know what it means. You don't know if it's like I forgive you and let's move on, and then it kind of comes full circle where Jenny was the thing that brought them together, even if by dying.
Hmm.
Um, the dad is like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I should have been more supportive." Um, or if the son is like, screw off, like, yeah, love means never having to say you're sorry. I'm not sorry either, whatever. I don't know. Um, and then it kind of starts where it begins because he goes and sits in front of that ice rink where it all started between the two of them, and we see the same shot that the movie started with, and then you hear this really haunting, beautiful love theme that was played. Um, by Francis Lai, right? That was done by
Hmm.
him, and I don't know. It's interesting. I watched this. There were moments that were super emotional for me. I agree with you. The for me the most emotional scene was amongst the father-in-law Phil and Oliver at the end.
Hmm.
Certainly is sad when the two lovers are holding each other, but oh my gosh, the again John Marley, his ability to like hold it in and be like really emotional and yet very very like subdued and disciplined is amazing. It just rips your heart out.
Hmm.
But yeah, this film kind of ends in a very strange way. And if you're emotional about it, you don't really know how to feel. It's very bloodletting where you're really sad and you're sad about a whole bunch of things at once.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, and I mean it comes full circle, right? It's
mm,
bookended basically by him, being on the
mhm.
on that ice rink there, in Central Park, and yeah, it just kind of ends very abruptly because that's really just a setup for I think exploring, kind of the relationship between these two people who like we said had this like just insane like magnetic attraction to one another, and probably would have the love didn't really have anything to overcome, but you feel like it would have, right? Had she gone to Paris, had he
Mm.
stayed in the family, and married her out of spite, kind of any of those things that would have survived through there, and the way that it kind of weaves and kind of brushes up against those things without ever actually getting into them, I thought was really really neat. So Well, let's talk about just kind of our overall thoughts on this. I liked it from one standpoint because I went to New York just a couple of months back and actually did like like a self-guided walking tour of Central Park, and like all of these places were on there for Love Story, and I was like, I've never seen Love Story, but let's go check that out, you know. So I went to all these places, and I'm like, oh, here's where I just was seeing this thing. So that's pretty cool. I love that. There were some really neat cinematic kind of things. I mentioned that shot that goes like across the ice. There's a bunch of stuff like that. There's a bunch of like camera like following, especially Oliver through the apartments and stuff like that. I really love that. But I think probably my favorite kind of like show and not tell kind of a thing in this is anytime Jenny was doing anything or anytime Oliver was doing anything, the other one was just watching on, so infatuated looking. Like the way that they just watched each other exist was incredible.
Yeah, yeah. And again, it was so foreign because now, especially now, right? And we live in the times where people are doing stuff together and they're not even doing anything together. Like they're on their phones or whatever,
Hmm.
but they are just enraptured with each other. And it's not like it, obviously the chemistry was there, for sure. You definitely felt like they were attracted to each other, but the way in which they just existed and held space for each other was really special. It just seemed like you said, magnetic. Like it was, and magnets have been magnetic since the dawn of time. And I like to think when the universe is all over, the things that are spinning are going to keep spinning, and they would somehow still be together. It's a it's an interesting, I don't know, it's an interesting movie about these two immovable objects kind of careening through the universe together. And then when one of them kind of breaks up, what happens, right? I
Hmm.
would love to know that Oliver kind of moved on, but I don't think he did. I think he's still sitting looking at that. He's still sitting in that frozen tundra looking at the ice rink. I mean, and you really don't think that anything's going to get any better, that this winter is just going to continue because he just can't be wherever she's not.
Well, lucky for you, Michaela, if you want to know what happens, there is a sequel to this movie for some reason, and
Okay.
there is a reason actually for it. So let's address this first. So this movie is equally loved and panned, made fun of, and I can get that. There are a couple of very I guess like sappy saccharine moments, but not really. The film isn't that long. Probably like the snowball fight is the only one that I was like, "Oh, okay, I've had enough of this." But no, this film slaps, and everyone else thought that this film slapped too because in 1970, on a budget of $2 million, it made like $180 million. It's like the highest like returning like film of all time, basically. One of the highest grossing films to budget of all time for sure. And of course, when that happens, you get a sequel. So in 1978, Oliver's Story comes out. Michaela, you want to watch this? Starts
Oh
at Joe's
God.
funeral. I do not. I do not want to watch it. On a side note, I'm leaving this one well enough alone. Get out of here with that. Apparently, Candice Bergen's in it, so I do like Candice Bergen. Yeah. So there's that. There was apparently like a little anthology television series as well, and there was a remake of this too. So I don't know. I don't know what that remake is. Get it out of here. Not interested in that. So I don't know, Michaela. What were your kind of final thoughts on this? Are you going to watch Oliver's Story? You said you
I
were
don't
interested, but I think
know.
you were lying.
No, no. I mean, no, because it seems so final. Like you want to believe that he's going to be okay, but like I don't want to see him. I don't know. That would be hard for me. That would be really
Hmm.
hard.
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm looking it up now and I'm like, ooh, I don't know. I don't know if I would like that. I don't know if I would like that. I really don't. Because uh yeah, how is he ever going to forget? I know he's still sitting there. That's my story. That's fake news. It's not real, Bran. He's still
It's not.
sitting,
It's
waiting
not.
in the
He's still
frozen
sitting.
tundra. He's just waiting
He
for
actually.
himself to die so that they can go to the heaven that they don't believe in together.
He
And
actually
just
was still there when I was in New York. He was sitting alongside of the ice rink, just waiting for winter to come back. Also, he does work part time. Does Oliver in this film at the Christmas tree lot, right? So this
sure does.
is a Christmas film. There's a lot of snow in it, so that's good. There's even a Christmas song that plays. And by some sort of weird metric that people keep telling us, if there's a Christmas song and a Christmas tree, then it's a Christmas movie. Not a Christmas movie, but it is a good love story. So, any parting thoughts, Michaela? Are you glad that we watched this? Are you sad that you waited so long to watch it? Did you need to be of this age to have watched it? Like, if you would have watched this at 20, would you have felt differently about it, do you think?
Yeah, I think I probably would have thought that it wasn't anything special at 20. Because when you're young, I don't think you recognize certain things to be what they are until much later. I think this is a very an adult, mature take on real love, even though it happens to two very young people. And when you're
Mm-hmm.
young, I think I would have just chalked this up as this star-crossed lover thing where they weren't supposed to be together and they're together and then she dies and it's sad. Um, but the more I think about it now as an adult, I mean, they go through some pretty intense things and they have to deal with a lot of challenges in their relationship from the get-go, right? The differences that they have in socioeconomic status, the differences that they have in their family dynamics, the difference that they have in ultimately what they want to do with their lives, and they still manage to figure it all out. I don't know. I am really glad I did watch it. I did really like it. Yeah, I think it's worth people's time. I think there's a reason why it was nominated for seven things, right? Is it the best love story I've ever heard or ever seen? No, but it's pretty great. I mean, it's really good. It's worthy. And I think again, it would have been wasted on the Michaela who might have watched this at 20. Maybe not, but probably a
Yeah.
little bit.
Well, the American Film Institute agrees with you. The 100 Years of 100 Passions, Ally McGraw and Ryan O'Neal rank number nine. So there you go. That's
Oh.
that's pretty good. That's pretty good. And 100 years, 100 movie quotes. Of course, love means never having to say you're sorry. That is true, I suppose. Maybe. I don't know. One thing that is true is that Oliver's roommates all looked like they were about 40 years old, even though in real life they were only about 24 years old. And that includes a very young Tommy Lee Jones, who I think was 24 at the time, playing one of his
Mm,
roommates, Hank. So that's pretty
mm-hmm.
good. That's pretty good. Guy brought the world not only this love story, but also brought us Tommy Lee Jones. So thank you for that to Love Story. So yeah, definitely go check out Love Story. I thought it was awesome. I really, really liked it. The more I think about it, the more I liked it. I thought it was great. So check it out. Let us know if you've watched Love Story. Let us know if you play that theme just periodically in your day-to-day life, and let us know if you make a Snowman-hattan, which is a really fun play on words. So you can do that. You can let us know all that stuff on our social media. It's at Drink the Movies on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and Facebook.com/Drink the Movies. If you want to get bonus content for the podcast, show your support that way, get hangouts, all that sort of stuff, you can find that on our Patreon. It's patreon.com/Drink the Movies. We appreciate our patrons over there so much and have a lot of fun doing all of those things with all of them. And we also have a website. It's drinkthemovies.com. You can go there for episode recaps, pictures of our cocktails, the recipes, all that stuff can be found there on the website. Again, that's www.drinkthemovies.com. So, Michaela, where can people follow along with the podcast, right? We've got a couple of drops every week going out, talking about some movies that are 1 week old. Sometimes it's a movie that's 55 years old. Heck, we even did a movie that was 100 years old once. So, Michaela, where can they follow along and make sure they're getting all of the podcast drops?
You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere where Spotify podcasts are supported and distributed. Um, Brian, I just got another notification that we made the top 10 podcasts for Good Pods. I don't know
Ooh,
who's listening to us on Good Pods, but keep it up, everybody, because that's really, really cool. We
yeah.
love when we make it into the top anything, anywhere, because it's just the two of us. And by the two of us, I mean, it's 90% Brian who does all the work here. So that's really cool. But if you want to help get more Drink the Movie stuff out there, you can definitely leave us a 5-star review anywhere that you're listening to us on. There is a way to leave us a review. There's a way to share us on all your social medias. It's super cool. We're very grateful for it. And if you're into video games at all, Drink the Video Games is awesome. Brian does a really great job. Even if you're not like playing the video games. You can go watch him on YouTube play some of this stuff. It's really, really cool. And of course, I come in and give a nice cocktail for every episode that we do. So that's awesome. Go check that out as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And that is going to wrap it up here for episode 232, Love Story. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next time on
Drink
Drink
the
the
movies.
Movies.
It's a good love story. It's a good one.
It's a good love story. Preppy.